It's the Alien Conspiracy Podcast. We are your hosts, Agent ETA and
Agent Anderson. Come along as we examine UFO sightings, conspiracies, and all things strange. Follow the show on Twitter at AlienConPod. We also have an email address, alienconpod@protonmail.com. We would love to hear from you. All right, this week's episode, Part 3 of the slideshow, the art of deception, the Edward Snowden thing. You know, hey, this is Part 3. If you guys don't know what we're up to by now, then check out our previous episodes. But yeah, anyways, we're going to start in here right up on slide number 30. We're starting where we left off, and it's a good one. Would you like to start us off on this one, Agent ETA?
yeah. So this basically it's a political cartoon is the way it's like set up, the type of cartoon that's depicted here, and at the top, by the first of all, at the top it says it's by Tom Fishborn, and it's labeled Brand Camp. So what they're talking about is a brand, right? Any given brand that you see out there in the world, and it says new product adoption at the top left in a big black box. And so what it's depicting, basically, it has a hill in the middle of it, and there's a box with legs and arms, and it's coming over this hill, rising at the top, and then going down the slope. It's kind of like almost like I guess you could say, somewhat a graph. Would you say?
Yeah, it does kind of look like a graph a little bit.
Kind of could be you could see it in that way, I suppose. But at the beginning of it, to the far left, it has this guy. The box is like slipping and kind of falling on its face, and it says, "Oof, I'm pathetic." Below it, it has a person pointing up, saying, "Wow, innovators," you know.
Yeah.
And what do you think that's referencing? Just like the beginning of an idea, or like the release of an idea that people are interested in? What do you think that represents?
Well, so what I think this is it's the product cycle with the consumer on top and the people running the business on the bottom. So the innovator would be the person creating the product, and he's looking at the consumer saying, the consumer needs this, so I'm going to make it for them and put it to market, right? And then the early adopters, they're saying, oh, that's a brilliant idea. You know, we're on board with this. And above that, it's I think he looks like a piece of toast, our consumer here, but who knows? It's open interpretation.
He kind of, he kind of reminded me a little bit of Powdered Toast Man from Ren and Snippy.
Yes.
Which is one of my favorite characters of all time in any cartoon.
One of
my favorite heroes.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I tell you what, X-ray nipple vision is probably one of the best superpowers of all time. I mean, that's what I always say.
And if you guys are not familiar, dear listener, with the Ren and Stimpy show, we're talking about a children's cartoon on Nickelodeon originally. With yeah, and Powdered Toast Man did have a prominent posterior as well as part of his outfit. It's I don't know if you remember that.
That is true. I do. Well, yeah, I do. I just did.
Do you remember the traveling nipple salesman?
not until now. No, there's a lot of. I remember varicose veins by Blammo.
Yeah, I think my favorite was "Don't Whiz on the Electric Fence," the board game. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, they had a great jingle.
Yeah,
a great song to go along with that one.
Oh,
let's get back to the slide.
Right. Okay.
Talking about Ren and Stimpy and shit.
So right. All right. So between the next section, there's like a little chasm. It says the chasm, and then it has the consumer climbing over the chasm, and then the next section says the consumer is saying, "I think I can," as he's climbing up the hill, and underneath of him, there's a crowd of people saying, "I heard Ashton Kutcher has one." And then under that, it says early majority, right? So this to me, I think they're talking about developing a product. There's a gap there. You have an idea, you make the idea, no matter how good it is, you have to get people to pay attention to the idea, because if you can't do that, it doesn't matter what it is, nobody's going to buy it. And I think that's what the chasm is trying to get people past that spot where they become aware of the product. But who knows? It's open to interpretation. And then on top of the hill, the consumer now is saying, "I'm king of the world," and that's kind of in between spots on the bottom. All right, so once he gets to the next spot on the bottom, he's saying "smooth sailing." This is the consumer, And underneath, you have another crowd saying, I found it at Sam's Club. So we're looking at basically, they're talking, that's the late majority. And it looks to me like we're just looking at the cycle of adoption, where you have some people will bounce on the idea right away. Other people will wait till their friends have it. And other people will wait till the very end until it's almost obsolete, which is when you can buy it at Sam's Club or Costco. Because they don't have.
Yeah, when you have mass distribution, it's also, it's everywhere you look, you know, and once a product, typically, unless it's like a product that's like, you know, very usable for people and people are buying multiple, you know, copies of that product, I guess you could say, then a lot of those products, once they hit that level of distribution, they sometimes tend to fade out because like people they've got it, you know, they're like, all right, that was cool. No, it's not.
Well,
you know?
and once stuff ends up at Costco or Sam's Club, it's past its prime, and that's when people are no longer willing to pay a premium for it, so they're buying it at the discount stores. Nobody wants to put their products.
You know, that's probably the better point right there.
Yeah, nobody wants to put their product straight to Costco. They want to earn a higher margin, earn a higher profit. It's just what you would do if you were making a product. And that's sort of what I think the trajectory is. And now he's at the bottom of the hill on the right-hand side, and the consumer says, sigh. Like he's sighing, like he's out of energy. He looks like he's using an old person's walker or something. And then the guy underneath is sitting in his chair saying, what new product? And then underneath that, it says laggards. I'm not sure why that would be laggards, but it's the end of the product cycle where you have to come up with something new to excite the people again. Now, this is a really weird thing to put in the context of this slideshow. And I mentioned earlier on, I was going to talk about something later on in a previous episode. This is what I meant. I think this ties in the whole slideshow. This ties everything in really well. So you start with a consumer or a target, I guess you could say, or a mark at the very left who's, you know, they're pathetic. They're flopping around on the ground. They don't know what's going on. And then you quote unquote inform them with what they want to hear. Maybe they want to hear that the CDC is making stuff up about the COVID virus. Maybe they want to hear that the election is fraudulent. Whatever it is that this person is into, they have their data, they have the algorithms to shoot whatever articles that will catch this person. The person gets excited about that information. They run up the hill. They're amped about it. They're like, yeah, I'm the king of the world. I got this stuff figured out. And then once they're done with that little thing, they get to the bottom of the hill, and now they're looking at the next thing. And you could look at one thing you could look at with this would be like the so-called outrage culture or cancel culture that we have nowadays, where as soon as they're done getting pissed off at one celebrity, like literally the next day or 2 days later, they're like searching for somebody else to crucify. Like they're not done. They're done with that guy.
Yeah.
They need to find somebody else now. And that's what this is all about. This is playing on the psychology of your average person and how to manipulate that psychology. This slide, I think, is the most important single slide in the whole thing. It's just, I guess maybe not in isolation, but it's just really fascinating that they use this, a marketing slide, how to market a product in the context of this slideshow. It's a really good one. I highly recommend anybody listening to go look at this slide for themselves. It kind of blows my mind. Sorry to take over on this one. What do you have to say about it, ETA?
Oh no, I think you said it all, and you probably said it better than I could have right there. Also, you know, I'm kind of your you know, everyday guy. You know, just you're a normal bloke trying to make sense of this shit.
Yeah.
You know, I'm very interested in all these topics, but I don't have a super deep you know, base of knowledge. Well, I mean, not on this type of stuff, at least. You know, well, I don't know, whatever. But it's like I said, on pretty much every single one of these slideshow episodes, it confuses the freaking hell out of me.
Right.
And it also I mean, the little bit of it that I do understand also worries me quite a bit too, because I mean, they're way past us. You know what I mean? As far as the way to their goal, because I would imagine there is you know, got to be a goal in mind.
Yeah.
If you're having a lot of these type of operations in existence. So what are they working towards? I know that there's a lot of different conspiracies out there, a lot of different you know, opinions on what clandestine you know, organizations, or you know, what the world elite is working towards. You know, some people think it might be Agenda 21. You know, so that's what it's called, right? Agenda 21.
I'm not familiar with Agenda 21. What is that?
Is it 2141? Oh, yeah, I don't know. That one I'm not really too familiar with, but I know that there are a couple different theories about dwindling the world's population down to a more manageable number, so you can have like a one world government. You know what I mean? So you can control the entire world easily. You know, well, more easier than it is now. But you know, it's part of it is obviously like one of the oldest tactics in the book is divide and conquer, right? So if you want to conquer a group of people, you want to move a civilization towards whatever ends to the means that you're planning, you divide them first, and then present that your solution to them as an organic solution. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that's a large part of what's happening right now. I guess I could say, because there's a lot of interviews you can pull up on the internet nowadays and just watch some of these world leaders, what they're talking about, just some of the words that they're saying alone. A lot of them are talking about this kind of openly, a one world government, and it's been going on for decades. You know, there's a long history of this type of speak in political speeches. You know, so I don't think it's too unreasonable to really believe that that's happening, and that people are trying to push certain societies, especially a lot of Western societies, towards that end. You know,
yeah.
And I think that this slideshow is this type of operation is a big part of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But like you're hinting at, the crazy thing is it almost doesn't even matter that we have access to this slideshow, because we don't know what they're trying to achieve. We can make guesses, we can make educated guesses, but at the end of the day, we have no idea. So it doesn't even matter if we know how they're doing it, because we don't know what their goal is. So what does it matter? You know, their goal, whatever their goal is, like you remember the previous picture where you have the 3-cup thing, that painting, and then everybody thinks that the 3-cup guy is trying to rip them off. Meanwhile, there's a guy pickpocketing him from behind. That's what this is all about. Like, whatever you think their goal is, it's probably something else. That's their whole game, is trying to hide what their goal is. So there's even a theory that the Edward Snowden leak, like Snowden is actually still an agent and he leaked that stuff on purpose. They wanted him to leak it because it fits their agenda. And I won't go down that rabbit hole because I do want to get through this slideshow on this particular episode, but I want to cover that in the future because it's pretty interesting. Like, just think about that. Yeah. If Snowden leaked this stuff on purpose, how would that fit into their plans? It's crazy, man. It's insane. All right. Let's move on to the next one.
Yeah, the next slide, dude. We got to move at some point here, but we could talk about this stuff forever. But the next slide shows, all right. So it shows an old tape that has the tape film pulled out, and it's in the shape of a heart, and I guess it looks like it's on like red canvas paper of some sort. Yeah, and it has a caption right next to it that says, "People make decisions as part of groups." And it also says right below that, people make decisions for emotional reasons, not rational ones. And I would heavily agree with that, especially if you're trying to sway a society as far as their opinions or their influences towards a certain direction. To have those people making decisions based on emotions or based on part of a group, that's going to make it a lot easier for you to influence people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you could pick any topic. I'll pick a topic that I was having a discussion with pretty recently with Agent Locke, actually. And we're talking about the topic of abortion. And it's interesting because the reality of the situation doesn't matter, right? But if I wanted to get the attention of the liberals, all I would have to say would be that, okay, there's a bill and they're trying to take away your right to your, what do they call it? It's like a women's rights issue, right? And they're trying to stop your women's rights or whatever. You could phrase it to catch their attention, right? And then the same story, you could get the people on the right, you could get their attention by saying this bill is trying to murder children, right? The bill could be about agriculture, something completely different. The reality of the situation doesn't make any difference. It's about getting people's attention and manipulating them to do what you want them to. And like this slide, there's not much to this slide. Like you could say, okay, so the cassette, that's, back in the day before CDs or whatever, it's like an 8-track kind of. And I think what that means is like, it has to do with music, because music, people listen to it and it like, they get emotional about it and like, it gets people fired up. but they don't really listen to the words a lot of the time. Even like one of my favorite examples is Little Girls by Oingo Boingo. I've actually heard people singing that.
Oh yeah.
Because it's a very,
Yeah, that's right.
it's a very catchy tune. I've been caught singing that to myself. But if you take a minute and listen to the words, you're like, whoa, hold on, dude. That's like Epstein's theme song right there. I mean, holy crap, dude.
It is, yeah.
But I think that's kind of like what this is alluding to on this slide, is that the truth of the matter doesn't really matter. It's how you can use, key things to manipulate people that may not have any basis in fact whatsoever. I don't know if that convoluted explanation made any sense or not.
Well, and you can use people's emotions against them, to sway them.
Yeah, exactly. I guess, that's what I was trying to get at. Maybe I'll edit out all the other stuff and just leave it at that.
It's good content.
Yeah. All right.
Why not?
All right, let's go to slide 32. Oh my God, we're only on 32. Okay.
Yeah, we got to put some kind of schedule to this.
We got to all right, the next slide, 32, it has a caption that says social creativity. And there's 3 circles in the middle. It looks kind of like a flow chart, green circles. And the first circle to the left says seed, the one in the middle says convert, and the one to the right says share. And there's arrows between seed and convert, arrows between convert and share, and then there's arrows on the top and bottom of the circles between seed and share. So all of the circles are connected to each other with arrows, but the arrows in the middle connecting seed, convert, and convert, share are thicker. And at the bottom, it says passion, density, and empowerment, in quotations. Like that's a quote. I don't recognize what that's a quote from. So social creativity, I guess you're seeding ideas, you're changing people's minds. That's what convert means. And then you're getting them to share. I don't know. This is a weird one. What do you make of this one, ETA?
I don't know, man. It reminds me of like the schematic for like a power plant of some sort, like, like a steam engine or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. It does. You put a couple of squigglies in there. It could be like an electrical diagram, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I'm at a loss for this one. I gotta admit it. I don't know. All right, let's move along.
Next slide.
All right. Yes.
Okay. So the next slide, what is that? Is that the Iranian flag?
I think it is.
There?
I think it is the Iranian flag. And there's a guy on a poster to the right that if I was like a smarter person and I paid attention to world events, I would probably know who that is, because you don't just bring a picture of somebody to a rally, right? It's got to be somebody important. But
yeah, it's usually some type of eulogy or something.
Yeah,
that person probably has died, and somehow people are up in arms about it. But it looks so. This picture is a large group of it looks like Iranian women, I believe. And under it right there, and they're all waving flags. It looks like they're demonstrating.
Yes.
I think they're out in the streets of some city. You can see a bunch of high-rise apartment buildings behind them. It looks like that. And I mean, forgive me if I'm wrong, but it looks like I believe in an Iranian flag that they're waving. Under it says, "Do you love your brand?" But it says, "Do you heart your brand?"
Can I just have a moment here? What
Sure.
the fuck? Like, these are
what the fuck, dude?
These people. So it's just women here, and they're wearing those. What is it? Is it burqas? Those head things, headscarves, right?
Hijab.
Yeah, hijab. Okay. I apologize to anybody out there. I don't know the correct terminology, but anyways, like you're saying, these women look very passionate, and it's this. Do you heart your brand? It's like saying, like, basically what this slide is saying to me is like, whatever your personal beliefs are, it's just bullshit. None of it is real, right? Like, Islam's not real, Christianity's not real, whatever politics you're into are not real. Maybe you're a gamer, that's not real. None of that.
I'm sorry. I'm looking on Google Images right now. I'm sorry. That does not look like the Iranian flag.
Oh, what does it look like?
At least, well, the Iranian flag is green at the top, white in the middle, and then red at the bottom. It has a symbol in the middle that I believe means God, I think, in some kind of Arabic.
Okay, let me finish my thought real quick here. So
my bad.
By calling, these people are very, very fired up about something. People don't get together in the street like this unless they're very passionate about something. Calling this a brand with these women wearing these clothing, calling Islam a brand, not a religion, that's a pretty strong statement. And I think they're saying that this is just another flavor of whatever it is we're trying to manipulate here. And it just, if this is your brand, we know how to push you in the direction we want you to go. That's what this picture says to me. Sorry to interrupt there, ETA.
Oh, no, that's right. Actually, I found out right now. I was looking through it. That's the Egyptian flag.
Egyptian, okay. All right, yeah, I'm bad at my flags. Does it look anything like the Iranian flag, or am I gonna have to edit that out because we're sounding like total idiots?
Well, no, it's the same kind of I mean, the type of flag. It's just the colors are different. You know,
right.
It has 3 stripes of colors that they go from top to bottom, and left to right. You know, or whatever, right to left doesn't really matter. But yeah, and instead of the other color combination, it's red, white, and black instead of what was it? Green, white, and red. I think. Right?
Okay, yeah, I thought it was 3 stripes. I don't know. I'm an idiot. Don't listen to me.
It is 3. Well, it has 3 stripes and an eagle, and like a kind of like a bit of like a golden eagle on the middle of it. I think. I'm not sure if it's an eagle or not, but
what do you make of this one, ETA?
Well, I think it kind of comments on the influence that potentially religion can have over masses of people, and how they can use that religion to sway a population in a certain direction. You know what I mean? Or maybe use create an enemy or a foe for those people to have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you want to move a large population of people towards a certain goal, typically throughout history, I've noticed that a lot of those goals tend to be geared towards war or towards having an enemy, so something to work towards at the very least. I mean, there's other things. There's other examples that people have, put great effort towards, like effort towards protecting yourself or large populations against natural disasters, perhaps, or doing stuff like building large dams or something. There's other efforts that people can get behind and work towards. But when you want to change society, and steer a certain way, you got to use the fulcrums that you have in front of you. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know if that's a good analogy or not, but
makes sense
there's
to me.
There's certain pivot points that you can use that they're going to be heartstrings that you can tug on, that you can get people on your side, because if you present information in a certain way, it's going to it's going to piss them off, I guess you could say. I know I'm speaking in great generalities here. Yeah. But I'm just trying to cover a broad spectrum. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm trying to be stepping back and looking at a subject from the outside. You know what I mean? Right. I'm trying to have the broadest opinion and trying to have the broadest understanding as I can. I don't know if I do or not, but that's what generally I try to do. You know what I mean?
Do you find it a little strange that a lot of, I don't know about how many, but it seems to be a lot of slides with people who appear to be Islam wearing the traditional headdress, and specifically Islamic women? That's kind of a little bit weird, right? I don't know. Like, why don't they have any Karens in this thing?
I don't know.
Throw a couple Karens in there. I don't see any Karens. It's all.
And where's all the Karens at over here?
It's all Islamic.
Well,
women.
I mean, maybe these might be Islamic Karens because they are out in the street yelling and complaining about stuff. I think maybe. I don't know.
Maybe,
unless they're celebrating. Maybe we're taking this the wrong way. Maybe this is actually a celebration.
It's hard. It's hard to tell.
I don't know.
It could be a celebration. It could be a protest. But they definitely seem like they're fired up about something.
They look like they're all quite a few of them are yelling about something. Yeah. I don't necessarily know if they have happy faces. The ones that are not yelling. Some of them may be a defiant face. So yeah, I'm not sure if this is this. I would lean against protest.
The lady to the right,
what this is depicting.
The lady to the right, and she's got kind of like a gray head scarf. She looks kind of neutral. She doesn't look angry or sad. She just kind of has a neutral expression on her face. So maybe you're right. Maybe it's not a protest. Maybe it's like a celebration. Maybe it's some kind of national celebration day or some kind of religious holiday, or I don't know. Could be anything.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So let's move on to the next slide here.
Yes.
This reminds me of a good old Trader Joe's, I think.
Yeah. It's Whole Foods.
To be honest, it has Whole Foods, but it has, so it's a big blackboard. It has a picture of a buffalo's head, in chalk, different colored chalk, brown, white and black, drawn on the left, and then it has on the right, Whole Foods Market, fresh ground buffalo, $4.99 a pound, regular $5.99 a pound.
Yeah. I don't know.
What do you think this is referencing? I mean,
Maybe if I had to go out on a limb, I'd say maybe if you buy fresh ground buffalo, maybe it's really just ground beef and they're just lying to you. I don't know.
that's what I kind of thought. Yeah, I kind of thought that same thing as well. Like,
Yeah.
so what does this mean exactly? So it doesn't matter where you buy your food, whether you think it's organic or whether you think it's of better quality. If you're buying it like in a chain store of some sort, maybe.
Yeah.
It probably is just regular ground beef or something that has been repackaged and presented in a different way, you know?
Yeah. I know for a fact that they do that with fish because we're running out of fish. So if you go to the store and you buy like so-called salmon or tuna, chances are it's actually not salmon or tuna. It's something else that tastes similar that they're just calling it that, but it's some other fish that you've never heard of, but I don't know.
Yeah. And they'll inject dyes and stuff into it to make it look like the desirable meat, you know? And there's been other companies also trying to sell like a freshly caught salmon, but it turns out it was actually like farm raised or you know, like the fisheries that, you know, I forget what they're called. Are they farm or are they fisheries? What are they called?
I think they call them farm fish. I'm not really up to speed.
Farm fish or something.
Did you notice on this slide how it has a padlock on the lower right hand corner? That's kind of weird.
I did, yes.
Like somebody put that there.
It seems like one of those,
right? That's
is that one of those icons from Windows Word or one of the Windows, like if you have like the you know, like the Windows notifications, like the
I don't know. I use LibreOffice.
Was it Word?
It's free.
Okay, yeah. Well, yeah. No, I don't know. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. That looks like a generic. I swear to God, I've seen that lock, that specific lock with that little shine like glaze thing over the lock, the pad itself.
Yeah.
I swear I've seen that somewhere. That looks really familiar to me, but I don't know where.
All right, let's move on to the next two slideshows, or next three slideshows actually. These are
our kind of slideshows right here.
Yeah, so slideshows. I say slideshow slides. So slides number 35, 36.
Hey, I said it too.
And
it's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. It's all good. 35, 36, and 37. This is actually how I found this slideshow in the first place, because I was looking on the UFO forums on Above Top Secret, and somebody mentioned this slideshow, and then I went down the rabbit hole. But they were mentioning these specific pictures, and these are pictures of UFOs, which in and of itself is kind of weird to put into this slideshow because without going on too much of a tangent, it's been believed for a long time by a lot of people that are interested in the UFO topic that a great deal of UFO information out there is actually false, and it's put out there for other reasons, for some sort of information operation or whatever. It's put out there
for deception.
Yeah, it's put out there for deception. It's not put out there because they're real UFOs or because aliens are here. It's put out there for some other reason, you know, freak out the Russians or whatever it is they're trying to achieve. Who knows? But these slides, all three of these slides are known fake pictures. None of these are actually UFOs. They're all, so the first one on slide number 35, that says at the bottom of the picture, Redbud, Illinois, April 23, 1950. This is a known hoax. It's a hubcap that was thrown through the air and a picture was snapped of it. And then the next one, which is slide number 36, it's got four little pictures of a shiny object that could be literally anything. Well, guess what? It's actually a Mylar balloon, one of those silver party balloons you can get at the grocery store. And
yeah, literally anything.
Yeah. But I forget who figured these out, but somebody actually analyzed these pictures and figured out exactly what they were. I wish I could give them credit, but it's been a while since I figured out, since I saw who did that. But anyways, whoever did it, thanks. But yeah, this is a Mylar balloon. And slide number 37, can you tell what this one is, Agent ETA?
I mean, if I were to guess, because I honestly don't know. Like you said, all three of these were debunked, and but this one I'm not sure. I would guess. Let's see. Hell, I don't know. A plate thrown that's wobbling, along with a. I don't know, dude. Like
it does look like a plate, but no, this is actually a bird flying by a camera, and because it's
okay.
Yeah.
Now that you said that, actually, yeah, that looks exactly like a bird with its wings up. Okay, yeah. It's funny that the tricks that your eye plays on you.
Yeah,
thinking, all right, so because I wasn't familiar with this picture, that when I first looked at it, like I was like, oh, okay, that could, if you didn't know that this was a fake picture, I could totally see that that's like yeah, a flying saucer with like a, a top to it, a top on it. And but yeah, now that you said it's a bird, no, that totally looks like a bird in mid flap,
And if you're excited about the topic of UFOs, even if you're on the skeptical side of things a little bit, you might still look at this and you might think that it's a legit UFO just because you kind of want it to be, even if it's just subconsciously. And I think that's all they're really doing with these pictures. I'm not sure this slideshow or this particular project in and of itself has much to do with UFOs. I think they're just using this as an example of how people misinterpret things that are pretty normal everyday things like a balloon or a bird. And they look at that and they think, well, this is an alien flying craft. And I think it just ties into the rest of the slideshow. And that, I mean, I don't think there's a whole lot more to say about this if for me, but.
Well, do you think it ties into the next slide?
Well, I would, yeah.
Because, I mean, we were just talking about hubcaps after all.
This next slide is kind of weird. Why don't you walk us through this one, ETA?
It's two pictures, one overlaid over the other. I'll talk about the picture that's in the background first. The picture is devised of two different pictures side by side. There's a wheel of a wooden cart. It looks like old and decrepit and weathered, but it looks like a wheel from an old wooden cart from like the Old West or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A wagon wheel, and the other wheel is like it looks like. To be honest, I don't know if this is a hubcap. It kind of looks like a hubcap, but one of those hubcaps that's fashioned in a way to look like a spoked wheel, like one of those Dayton wheels. If our listeners are familiar with that, one of those old like lowrider kind of spoked wheels. But the tire itself has a red ring around it. But it looks like a tire to me that's like would have been on a vehicle from like the 50s or early 60s. I'm thinking something in that realm. And then the picture in front of it has a Nikon camera to the left, and it looks like a newer version of a Nikon camera, something you could probably buy in the stores nowadays if you go, buy a camera that has actual film still, And then to the right of that has, I believe that's an iPhone. It looks like something, I'm guessing in the realm of a 6S Plus or something newer, something more recent. But it's an iPhone with a shutter on the screen, fully closed. What I'm assuming it's referencing is the ability for the phone, at least, for everybody to have a phone. I mean, have a camera on them, a video recorder. So all right. So it's obviously to me, it's depicting a progression of technology. You know what I mean? So from the wagon wheel to the newer, like radius ply wheel or whatever it is, you know what I mean? A newer, more reliable type of wheel. From the old school camera that used film to an iPhone or, this supercomputer that you carry in your pocket every day, that has more computing power than the first spaceship that went to the moon. You know what I mean? Far more. I don't know how many thousands of times more computing power it has. It might have millions of more. I don't know, but I think that's what this slide is kind of depicting.
Yeah, I think you're right. Actually, when I first looked at it, I didn't have a clue. I was like, all right, well, let's move on to the next one. I don't know, but yeah, I think you're dead on with that because it shows. Yeah, you're right. It shows the wheels and then the.
Well, hot dog. It's the first time I do believe.
But what I still find confusing is why do they use wheels as an example? But maybe it's just because like a wheel, that's like the first thing people invented after fire, right? So it's a good generic example maybe. And then
cameras and stuff obviously is more important, I think, to this slide, this series of slides, because everybody nowadays has a camera on them. They all have access to the internet, generally, so the access to information is a big part of that too, so we're all moved and influenced by information that we receive, right? So having that phone in your pocket at all times, I mean, depending on how you have your notifications for whatever apps you have on your phone set up, I mean, shit, if you have all the notifications open where you're just wanting constant fucking feedback, some people do. I mean, some people, we've seen, everybody nowadays, that has, iPhones and has Android phones or whatever kind of phone you have, access to the internet, the smartphone era, if you have all your damn notifications on, that you're constantly being hit with all kinds of fucking bullshit notifications. If you're just on like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, those three alone, if you leave all those notifications on, and say if you have even just maybe 50 friends on each, right? 50 people that you're following, whatever it is, you're probably going to be hit up with notifications constantly, and I think most people probably have, at least that much or more, Some people have a great deal amount of more, people that they're following or people that are following them,
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it's for deception, for the art of deception, it's the perfect tool, I think. Perfect tool, especially because of how dependent we've been made, how much we rely on these phones. There's a lot of people that pay the majority of their bills on their phone. You know what I mean? They don't know what number to call in real life to go pay their electric bill or to go pay their credit card bill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's an app on their phone. So if their phone would go down and they didn't have access to that anymore, they wouldn't have the ability to take care of just their freaking utilities. I don't know. Like I said, I know I went off on this great tangent, but yeah, dude, it's I don't know, man. It's quite the tool of control.
Yeah, it's weird, and just the way this particular slide's arranged, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But I don't know. It's a weird one. All right, let's go on to the next slide, which is slide number 39. And
yes.
This one says Strand 3 Online Human Intelligence, and it has the OCAA Online Covert Action Accreditation, which I still plan to apply to that program at some point. It has their little logo. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking about it, and I was thinking maybe Strand. Remember last episode we were talking about what does that even mean, strand? Maybe they mean strand of hair, like as a thread or something, but I'm not sure how that would make sense in this context, but whatever. Anyways, that's all there is to that slide. It's not a whole lot there. And then the next slide we'll talk about is number 40. So this one, it says ocean in the middle in like a black rectangle box, and it has a picture of an ocean or waves behind it. And then at the bottom, it says openness, contentiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. So it's like an acronym. So OCEAN, ocean, openness, contentiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism, which I can only assume this is what they're trying to do to people to manipulate them. They want them to be open to new ideas or open to the manipulation, and open as well with sharing their own opinions, so you can use those to manipulate them. Contentiousness, because maybe that's a very effective way to engage somebody, is if you just say, oh yeah, nice shoes, whatever, people don't really care. But if you say, hey, yo, your shoes are shit, yo, then that's gonna grab their attention a lot stronger than if you just say, yeah, I like your shoes. Extroversion, I guess that's sort of the online world we live in. Everybody's extroverted. I don't know. And
there's a lot more extroverts, I think, nowadays.
Yeah, like Facebook is entirely built on extroversion. Like, hey, okay, newsflash for everybody on Facebook, I don't give a fuck what you had for lunch today, all right? Just want to get that out there. Mm-hmm. But
well, most social media nowadays is kind of just, I mean, it promotes that,
And then there's agreeableness, which I guess that counteracts contentiousness. If you're just a contentious pain in the ass the whole time, maybe people start to ignore you, but you have to be agreeable sometime, I guess. I don't know. And so then we have neuroticism, which is kind of the alarming word on this page, because are they trying to cause that? Are they trying to find people who already have that? I don't know. It's just a little weird. What do you make of this one, ETA?
Well, I think most people will probably already have that.
Yeah, that's probably.
That's not something that you just kind of pick up on. I mean, that's probably a big part of your personality. You know what I mean? Anyways, well, let's go on to the next slide here.
All right.
So the next slide is it just has 3 terms on it, and it has arrows leading from one to the next in a clockwise.
Hold on just a second. So just as a reminder, this is slide number 41 for anybody following along.
Oh, yes. Yes, the faux one. All right. So, yeah, so it has 3 terms, arrows leading from left to right in a clockwise manner. I'll start on the left here on the top. Liking, then it goes to certainty, then disclosure. I don't know, man. Like, is that the thought process that some people go through maybe while being influenced by this bullshit?
I guess. I mean, I keep wishing we had the audio presentation to go along with this, because I guess like liking, that's a big thing on every social media, whether it's, Instagram or whatever.
That doesn't make any sense though with disclosure.
Yeah, like that. So we talk about disclosure in the world of UFOs, meaning that they're going to disclose the aliens actually exist. But I don't think that's what they're talking about here. I don't know. This one, this one doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. It's kind of too far out of context. I don't know. Uh-oh. What's going on here?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hello? Yeah.
Oh shit.
What happened?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I don't know. Well, yeah, you cut out for quite some time there, like for about like a good solid like 6 seconds.
Well, that's not suspicious. How come?
No, I was listening to what you were saying, and then it just cut out, and I was waiting for you to come back, and I was like, okay, when is he coming back here? And finally you did.
Oh, weird. Like, why is it that we have the most problems on Skype when we're talking about conspiracies? It, like, always, as soon as we hit those keywords, man, this stuff starts cutting out. It's so weird. Like, maybe I'm paranoid, but I am convinced they're listening in on us. I'm going to wake up tomorrow and they're going to show up at my door and they're going to haul me away, and my kids are going to never know their father.
Come with me.
Yeah. Accuse me of some.
What do you mean, just sir? Did you know my name?
They're going to accuse me of some nefarious stuff that I never did in a place I've never even been, but it'll stick because they wanted to,
Oh, I'm sure. Oh, if they wanted to, they could.
All right, let's move on to slide number 42 here. Hey, we're in the home stretch, dude. All right.
Oh, hot dog. How many slides are there total?
50.
Oh, okay.
All right, so this one, it's like a list of, it's got some big words and then some bullet points under those words, sort of like an outline.
Yeah, that's too many syllables, man. You want to take this one?
Yeah, it's so the first category, it says mirroring. People copy each other while in social interaction with them. And then under that, the little bullet points are body language, language cues, expressions, eye movements, and emotions. And I think that's 100% real thing, because if you ever hung out with somebody who's got like an accent, and then you hang out with them for a couple of days and you find yourself, or at least me, I find myself like, I'll slip an accent in there from wherever they're from. And it's like, wait, why am I talking like that? And then I start getting tripped out about it, because like, it's just weird.
Especially if you travel to a foreign country and you spend any kind of time there. Yeah. Longer than like a short vacation. Yeah, you probably start picking up. But you're just trying to like really kind of I think like survive in your surroundings, right. I guess at a primal level. You're trying to accommodate yourself to your own surroundings.
Yeah.
You know
and I mean? As far as the context of this slideshow, this is pretty obvious to me that if you want to manipulate people, try to get them to mirror you in whatever way you're trying to lead them. That could be any number of ways. But I mean, that's how I interpret that one.
I mean, that could be that's one modern day representation of that. Could be just how, like, you see people that are protesting nowadays for whatever reason.
Yeah,
it's always the same slogans that you see repeated, and people are just regurgitating bullshit that they've heard wherever they heard it, and I'm convinced that most people, especially, I mean, I'll speak openly about this shit. I mean, socialism nowadays, like in the United States in particular, I think, well, and in Europe, you see a lot of people, there's kind of a resurgence, you know what I mean, of the support of that ideal structure. But I mean, socialism in particular, the amount of acceptance I see towards those ideals nowadays, it baffles me, because we have so much like history to draw upon. We know it's a bad idea, you guys. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that a lot of these ideas are based in good intent, I think, at their very root, you know what I mean? But they don't take into account, human nature, I think, in a lot of ways. You know? But at any rate, though, you see a lot of these slogans just regurgitated and repeated, and I'm convinced that most people that are repeating this and yelling this stuff in the streets or whatever protests, they really don't have a full understanding of what they're really talking about. You know what I mean? They for whatever reason they have a strong feeling that they need to shout and be angry at something. They feel righteous for whatever reason, but like I said, I'm convinced that most of them really don't understand what they're, shouting against.
Yeah. So the second category here is accommodation, and it says adjustment of speech patterns and language towards another person in communications. The bullet points being people in conversation tend to converge, depends on empathy and other personality traits, and possibility of over accommodation and end up looking condescending. And I think this is very similar to the first category, mirroring. It's, just a different angle on the same thing. And the third category here is mimicry, adoption of specific social traits by the communicator from the other participant. And again, it's more along this mirroring thing where you're adapting to other people. And then, And then at the bottom of the slide to the right, it's got a little cloud on there. And so you have a slide where you're like, okay, I get this. And then they always got to tack on that little, what the fuck? It says, question, can I game this? Okay. So yeah, obviously the answer is yes, you can game this or it wouldn't be in the slideshow.
Yeah, you'd think so.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to the next one, unless you got more to say about slide number 42, ETA.
No, I think we covered it.
All right.
So the next one is like a pyramid chart. Yeah. It's almost like your common like a food group like depiction that you saw from when you're younger or whatever. What is it called? I'm trying to the food pyramid.
The pyramid scheme to get you to buy pizza and shit that you don't need to eat. No, but this is actually, I know this because it was this is a psychology thing, and I took like a Psych 101 class back in the day. And this is
okay.
It's The Hierarchy of Needs by Carl Maslow. I'm going to Google that real quick because this was a while ago. I just want to make sure I'm not sounding stupid here. Hierarchy of Needs. I'm pretty sure that's what this is.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, that's exactly what this is. Maslow's Hierarchy of Needs. And the idea is that at the bottom of the pyramid, those are your basic needs. So at the bottom, it has physiological needs, food, water, warmth, rest. If you don't have food in your belly, you're not going to be looking for the next book to read. You're going to get food so you don't die, right? And then right above that is safety needs, security and safety along the same lines. If somebody's stabbing you in the back with a spear, you're not going to be too worried about, your hobbies. And then above the basic needs is the psychological needs. And that's belongingness and love needs, which is intimate relationships and friends. And then esteem needs, which is prestige and feeling of accomplishment. So that's pretty much self-explanatory. And then the very top of the pyramid here is the self-fulfillment needs, which is self-actualization, achieving one's full potential, including creative activities. And the idea here, if I remember correctly, is that you can't do the stuff at the top of the pyramid unless the stuff underneath of it has been taken care of. So you can't reach your full potential if you're starving to death is kind of the idea. And ironically, this is, the Army slogan that they used to have in those commercials. I don't know if they still do. Be all you can be, join the Army or whatever. That's where that comes from. It's from Carl Maslow and his hierarchy of needs. Be all you can be, self-actualize.
Okay. I did not know that.
If you get into it a little further, the self-actualization thing starts to sound a little bit like a religion. It's kind of weird, like kind of culty. Like you gotta, I don't know, like it's almost like a mystical aspect to it. It's interesting though. You should check it out. Anybody listening, if you don't know what I'm talking about, and if you do know what I'm talking about, I apologize because I probably got it all wrong. But yeah, that's what that.
I'm sure you get the gist of it.
That's what that slide is, and the reason I jumped in there is because if you didn't know what it was, then it makes a lot more sense if you know what it is, if you know that, that's where it came from. But
oh yeah, well yeah, and on that slide in particular, I mean, many of these slides in particular, but yeah, if you have that knowledge, that sheds a whole new light.
Yeah, but basically they're using this information. So what what somebody who studies this would normally, what they would use this information, they might use it for marriage counseling. They might use it for somebody who's depressed and looking to improve their lives. A counselor might say, okay, well, what needs do you have that aren't being fulfilled? Let me help this guy out here, or this gal out, this couple, whatever. It's to help people. That's the end goal. But here we have a completely sinister use of it, which is to manipulate people. They're using the,
Yeah.
and this is very theoretical. This is not necessarily factual, but it is based on actual research and stuff. So this is useful to manipulate people. It's cray. It's cray.
Well, the next slide.
Yeah.
The next slide's a little bit cray. It's only a little cray though,
Yeah.
But so the next slide is actually, it looks like an X-ray picture of a human skull, but inside the skull you see 3 gears interlocked together, and it looks like they're all the same gear ratio, I think, which actually to me is kind of wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. But so to the left of it says, "Who are you?" And what they're referencing, I think, is who is the person maybe that we can manipulate.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, that's what I kind of interpret this as.
Right. Like you have different people, but a lot of them do fit into specific categories. Like, the whole liberal versus conservative thing, religious, agnostic, atheist, whatever category you want to identify with, there are common things that all of those people will have. Like in general, people who are conservative and Christian are going to be against abortion, something we talked about a little before. And
Sure,
I'm not saying, I don't want to turn this into a political talk, because that's not what this show's about. What my point is that whatever group you belong to is going to have certain things that are common to that group that can be used to manipulate that group. So that's, like you said, I think that's what they're talking about here with this X-ray and these gears that, again, don't make sense. But yeah. So yeah, it's kind of my takeaway from that slide.
All right, so the next slide is another one of those strand slides. It's OCAA, has that same 4-pronged blue emblem with a dot in the middle of it. And then, it says strand 4, disruption and computer network attack. Which, that's all it says on the slide there, but that's pretty straightforward right there, I think.
I think I just shit my pants a little bit. I mean, let's be honest here.
Attacking what? What do you mean?
Come on. All right, that's all there is to that one. Let's move on to slide number 46.
Yeah, the next slide, 46, kind of reminds me of Breaking Bad.
All right. You want to tell?
No.
So I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing the Breaking Bad connection here.
It's because of green boxes and shit.
Okay.
That's it.
Oh. Were there green boxes in Breaking Bad?
Yeah, dude. Like on the like on the show's on the name of the show itself. Like when the
Oh, I see. Oh, okay, I see. Like the periodic table stuff. All right, I got you.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. All right,
yeah, dude.
But you know what? I forgot about this. But I was listening to some of his old podcasts, and Bill Burr was actually on Breaking Bad. You remember that?
Oh yeah. He's kind of like one of the supporting henchmen. Whatever.
Yeah, I forgot he was on that show.
There was that one scene where he's in the storage locker, like it's like one of those like self-storage lockers. This is the one that I remember.
Yeah,
he was in the self-storage locker with that big old giant fat black dude that was also like a bodyguard or something like that.
Yeah.
And that big old fat dude decides to like lay down on the money. Like they have like a big old giant fat brick of money, like a pallet full of like millions of dollars, And he just like lays down on the money. Like what?
Yeah.
Have you ever taken a nap on this kind of money? I'm just saying, like,
By the way, I would just like to correct you. The correct term is gravitationally challenged. Okay. We don't want to be
give a fuck.
We don't want to be mean to anybody.
Hey.
We want to be inclusive. Everybody's feelings matter.
Hey, you know what? Then I'm included because I'm a bit chubby and a bit festively plump myself. So I can include myself in that group that may have been offended. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I can speak for them as well.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
And I say we are not offended.
It's okay. So you guys don't have to cancel us because I'm a little gravitationally challenged myself. So it's all right. It's all good, right? We can make fun of ourselves.
Wait, no. I just need to work on my core a little bit, dude.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, my thing is, like, I did so many sit-ups. It looks like I'm fat, but it's actually just a big, giant, like, muscle, right?
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
It looks like a beer belly, but it's just a big fucking muscle that I can just, if I flexed it, which I don't do, but if I flexed it, I could like knock somebody out with it. Just whap.
Well,
It's crazy.
I can say from experience, when he does flex his core, sometimes it makes like an audible sound that sounds like good dish. You know?
It's true. It's all true. All right, wait, let's talk about this slide. We're getting way too off course here. Okay, so it's got 6 green boxes, and the boxes each have a word, and the words from left to right say block, turn, fix, disrupt, limit, and delay. And this is another one of those things where we can interpret what they're trying to say here. I mean, it fits in maybe, but without having the audio presentation, it's kind of hard for me to know what they're really trying to get at here. But it's basically manipulating people, is I guess. I don't know. What do you think they're getting at here with this one, ETA?
Yeah, it seems to be like a course to run. You know what I mean? As far as your way to manipulate.
Yeah. And if this is in the context of disruption and computer network attack, this might be referencing something that's like highly technical that we wouldn't actually know about because we're not like, computer hacker type people. But maybe this is talking about like those DDoS attacks or something. I don't know, whatever.
Mm-hmm. All right. So the next slide, it says it starts with at the top. It's just a big white box with black writing on it. At the top, it says disruption, and then operational playbook. So this looks like I guess is it a synopsis or just like a table of context, I guess, or contents? Did I
maybe just like an outline to how you would disrupt, I guess.
God, yes, you're right. An outline.
I don't know.
Oh no, I was searching for the term, but then
bullet
I didn't
points.
Find it. But I appreciate you though, sir. Yeah. So no, it's kind of an outline. So yeah, disruption operational playbook. That's the title at the beginning. So yeah, it has a bunch of different bullet points, and the first one is infiltration operation. These are all operations, by the way. The second one is ruse operation. The third one, set piece operation. Next, false flag operation. That one really stood out to me.
Yes.
But the one after that, false rescue operation, then disruption operation, and sting operation. Each one of these separate terms we could talk about for quite a bit, I think. I mean, each one of these could be maybe like at the very least, like a 25, 30-minute podcast.
At least, yeah.
Talking about these type of operations and what they might, entail.
Yeah. Whenever I think false flag was on one other slide, if I remember correctly, but whenever I see that, my initial reaction is, ooh, look, it says false flag. It's right there. It says fucking false flag right there. You know what I mean?
One of them false flags I've been hearing about, damn it.
Yeah. Why would they use that specific terminology, which means something very specific for like an online, I don't know, dude. You know what I mean?
Well, what we know of as false flags is it's something that has been planned out before, not necessarily always carried out, but it's the type of operation that has been documented throughout history. I mean,
yeah.
Most people down this rabbit hole knows about the CIA plan to fly a plane into the Empire State Building during the Cuban crisis, right?
Yeah, and if this is your first episode and you haven't gone down the rabbit hole, welcome to the rabbit hole. This is actually 100% true. Look it up yourself. The false flag.
It absolutely is.
So a false flag means that, let's say, the United States they're gonna order the Air Force to bomb a United States asset, like the Empire State's Building or the World Trade Center or whatever, and they're gonna make it look like somebody else did it. And you might say to yourself, well, that's crazy. They would never do that. But the fact of the matter is they have done it, and we have actual proof that this has been done in the past, not just by us, but by other countries too. And what this does is it allows us to, I don't know, maybe start a Vietnam War or something like that.
I think one of the biggest things is it brings support of the public into the scenario. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, like, at the beginning of World War II, at least for the United States, it was the attack on Pearl Harbor. So, as the story goes, and actually, I believe it full-heartedly. I think that there's enough information out there to prove this. supposedly that we were warned by, at the very least, by Australian intelligence that the fleet to attack Pearl Harbor was on its way. We knew that this fleet was on its way, and historically we were, it's very well known that the public in the United States was very against entering World War II. Obviously, that's not what they called it back then, but they were very against entering any amphitheater of war, because they basically just said, they were of the opinion that, hey, it's not our problem. Why should we sacrifice our young lives and our resources to help these people, when it's not part of our problem, basically, So, obviously when Pearl Harbor happened, well, now it's our problem, So I believe that event actually was allowed to happen in order to create public support,
Yeah, there is some plausible evidence for that as well. I've looked into that a little bit, and it kind of reminds me of something else. I can't imagine what. It might be something that we'll have to cover, like next month.
There was a big event.
Yeah.
I remember there's this one big event. No, we'll get to it. So I'm sure.
We'll get to it. But yeah, so on this slide, I think they're just listing different types of operations they can do to disrupt people, like infiltration. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's infiltrating a particular circle of people so that
I would actually kind of assume as well that there's probably different specialists that specialize in these particular type of operations.
Right.
Like, if you're one of these deception operatives or whatever, then you probably specialize in a certain type of operation or a certain type of deception. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like you go through the program and then you go get your postdoc and like set piece operation. You just got like one guy who does that. Mm-hmm. And like, let's say, I'm not going to go through everyone, but let's just say for a thought experiment, for infiltration operation, for online operations, perhaps that means infiltrating a particular group. Let's say it's a subreddit that is into a particular topic. So you go into that subreddit and you become part of that community. And then once you're part of that community, you've infiltrated them, then you can start steering them in a particular direction one way or another. Maybe that's what they mean by infiltration.
That doesn't happen. It's all Russian bots.
Yeah, well, it could be Russian bots. That's true. But here's the crazy thing. What if the Russian bots are really our bots and they just want us to think that it's Russian bots? I mean, that stuff is in this slideshow. We've talked about it. That's one of the things they would do. But did they really? Who knows? We'll never know. I don't know.
Yeah, man. Well, you want to bring us into the next slide here?
Yeah, so we're talking about slide number 48 here. And this one is it's got a really interesting title, and it says Identifying and Exploiting Fracture Points. Oh boy. And it has a sort of like a graph, I guess. It's got sort of like a U and then an upside down U touching in the middle of the page. It kind of makes an hourglass kind of shape. And then to the left, it says things that push a group together. It's got arrows, and it says shared opposition, which, I mean, you were mentioning that earlier, ETA, which is if you want to fire up a group of people, find a common enemy that they can all get fired up about. So shared ideology and then common beliefs. And the middle, it says tension, and there's an arrow pointing left and then an arrow pointing right connected to each other. So it's kind of like a left-right, suggesting that one flows to the other and then maybe it can flow backwards. I don't know. And then to the right, it says under the category, things that pull a group apart. Personal power, pre-existing cleavages, and competition, ideological differences. So this is basically just like kind of like a flow chart almost about if you're going to infiltrate a group, what pulls that group together and what pulls that group apart. And I mean, it goes without saying.
How can you influence them from from beginning to result?
It kind of goes without saying, depending on your goals, you might want to manipulate the group to bring them closer together against a particular opponent that you're trying to get them to go against. Or if you're trying to destroy that group or minimize that group, you might try to pull that group apart by exploiting the things on the right-hand side. So this slide to me seems pretty straightforward. What do you think, ETA?
I would agree with that. I mean, the first word, to be quite honest, that I noticed was cleavages, but I mean, that's only because I'm a bit of a degenerate, but I'm willing to admit it.
All right, we're on the home stretch here, man. 2 slides left. Slide number 49. So this slide looks like it's basically, we're ready to roll the credits here, and this is sort of the credits. It's got to the left, it's got our good old friend, the OCAA, Online Covert Action Accreditation, my future home. That's got that logo. And then it's got some text here, and it says, full rollout complete by early 2013, 150 plus JTRIG, JTRIG, and Ops staff fully trained. Mainstreaming work. Push reduce level 1 tradecraft to 500 plus GCHQ analysts and relentlessly optimized training and tradecraft. Yeah, that's when somebody.
So it looks like at the launch of this program, there's at least 650 members that are doing their job. That have been trained and are ready to go
by 2013. People. So this has been by the time you find out about it, whatever they're doing now in 2020 is probably 1,000 times worse. This is already obsolete, and that's the crazy thing. Geez.
There's probably a little bit exponential growth there, I think.
And I like the last bit here. If somebody's trying to fuck you over, you kind of want them to do it relentlessly, right? Optimize. If you're going to optimize, let's say you have a franchise. Let's say you got a pizza franchise, and you want to optimize training and tradecraft. You want your employees to be competent and know how to cook their pizzas or whatever. Would you describe training your employees relentlessly? I'm going to relentlessly train my employees. That's a kind of a strange way to put it, right? Does that seem strange to you? Is it just me?
Well, unless the people that you are training have already gone through government programs, like for instance, the military, where you have that type of hierarchy that like you basically have no choice. You must fucking do what you're ordered to do. Yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, I'm sure a lot of these operations are compartmentalized and very modular. So
just to illustrate the compartmentalization, some of you may have heard of that, but just to illustrate what that actually means, I actually went to Edwards Air Force Base, and we did a tour of the facility. So I was thinking about becoming an airplane mechanic in the far distant past, and when I was in airplane mechanic school, which I didn't end up doing, but we did a tour. They took us kind of behind the scenes and showed us some stuff at Edwards Air Force Base. And they showed us, one of the things they showed us was the hose shop, kind of a strange thing to show people, but they showed us the hose shop of.
That wasn't a gay porn, was it?
No, this is Edwards Air Force Base.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. And so they had somebody, or they had a team, I don't know, whole team, whatever. We're talking about, so this is the people who are working on maintaining the F-22 Raptor, which, by the way, if you're not familiar with it, that's a bad airplane right there, man.
Bad mamma jamma.
You guys got to look that up. So the mechanics in charge of doing just the hose, like not even the hoses on all the airplane, they showed us they were in charge of one specific hose connecting one component to another component. And if you think about, like, if you open your car hood and you look at like that black hose that connects your radiator to your engine or whatever, it kind of looked like that, but bigger. But they showed the mechanics. They had a picture of that hose with everything else blacked out, and this is what you're supposed to make. And they didn't know what it connected to and connected from. They just knew this is the hose, this is the shape of the hose, and that's it. They didn't even get to take the hose to the aircraft. They made the hose. Somebody else took the hose to somebody else, who then took it to somebody else who was qualified to install the hose on the airplane. Mm-hmm. And this may seem ridiculous, but this is 100% true. This is what compartmentalization means. If that person making that hose was captured and tortured, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. To them, it's just literally a black hose. They could tell you what the hose is made out of. They don't know.
It's a hose.
They don't know they probably don't even know what it's for. They make the hose and they hand it off to somebody else who puts it on the airplane. And the same thing happens in intelligence circles. You might get an assignment. Well, now I'm extrapolating here because I don't have firsthand knowledge like I do with the hose, but I imagine that if you're working for an intelligence organization, they'll tell you, here's your objective. Your objective might be find out what kind of shoes this person wears, or you need to ruin this person's life, or whatever it is. They don't tell you why and they don't tell you anything else outside of what your specific task is. Your specific task might be befriend this person as this particular online personality, or whatever it might happen to be, and then hand it off to somebody else who then takes it from there. To wrap up the thought, the reason I'm going into this whole rant is just to illustrate that when they say compartmentalization, it's a real thing, and part of what that is it takes responsibility off the operative. They don't know what they're doing, and they don't know why they're doing it. They're just given a task, and they do it. And I think maybe that ties into like psychological stuff like the Milgram studies. If you don't know the impact you're having, it's a lot easier to do your job. We got one last slide. Slide number 50. Agent ETA, would you like to lead us out of this slideshow?
I could dig it, man. Yes, sir. So the last slide, there's an image of a man. This man is, he's part of the magician group Penn and Teller. I think, is this Penn or is this Teller? I think it's Teller. And
this is Teller, yeah.
The quiet guy. Yeah, the quiet guy. He's like the Bob to the silent, or the silent J to the Bob. You know what I mean?
Right.
But anyways, it has a quote from him from 1998, it looks like. And it says, "Conjuring without information."
With information.
So I'm sorry. Yeah, whatever. Whichever comes first, bro. You know? Yeah. No, it's an important distinction. Yeah. Conjuring with information. So I think that relates heavily to what we're talking about. Under it has it's kind of funny. It has a quick little segment that looks like it has two areas that are redacted.
Yes.
What we can see, it says head of human science, JT Rig, HSOC, and then NSTS. At the very top, it has a portion that's redacted, and then right after NSTS, it has a portion that's redacted. I mean, I don't know what that might be. There could be a slide that we've covered previously that might actually, might tell us something about this. But off the top of my head, I mean, does that mean that he's a part of this, or
no? So the redacted parts are probably the names of the people involved, and because this was released through a leak, so probably I forget the details, but whoever released this particular slideshow probably redacted those names because so you might not like what's going on here, but if the head of human science at JTRIG, HSOC, or whatever, and NSTS, whatever that is, that's probably a person's name as well. So if those names got out, that is a security risk. And let's be real, as much as we don't like what we're seeing on this slideshow, we still like America winning over other countries, but
yeah. Well, I think those two redacted sections, I think the top part is probably the name.
Yeah. And
the bottom part is probably like their position, like their actual, the position would be head of human science, but
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know.
I think it's probably two names because if they were going to redact stuff, they would have redacted literally the entire slideshow. So I think they're just redacting names here.
Maybe it's the name and the facility that person works at, maybe.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. But yeah, so that's it, man. And I think this last slide, I think it's pretty much speaks for itself. It just ties into the whole rest of it. So, I mean, I guess to summarize the whole deal, for me, the thing that's really frightening is that this is not being used against, other countries or terrorist cells or whatever. This is being used against anybody and everybody. We don't know who, we don't know why. It's probably us, and it's probably somebody else, and it's very, very frightening. I guess that's pretty much all I have to say. Everything else I wanted to say, I already said during the 3 episodes, I guess.
Yeah, and to piggyback on that, I think that these organizations seem to be used against their own populations.
Right.
It doesn't seem to be focused towards other civilizations, other populations, whatever, other countries. It seems to be focused inwards, to direct us towards a certain way, to and at a certain goal or something. I don't know really, but it worries the heck out of me, because whatever they're doing is extremely advanced, and they're far ahead of us as well. I mean, that's obvious,
Yeah.
But what the hell? I mean, like I said, what I kind of fall back on is my belief in a lot of people, a lot of high-ranking government officials and people in power trying to lead us towards a one-world government. That's kind of where I end up,
I would follow that up by saying, even though you and I have just gone over this slideshow with a fine-tooth comb, and we think we know what's going on, I guarantee you these operatives, they would still be able to manipulate us, even though we know what they're doing.
Oh,
they would find a
well,
way.
kidding me? All right, so
Yeah.
So if one of these operatives were listening to our 3 podcasts here covering these slides, they would just be like, these fucking idiots.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the things that we touched on, they might be like, all right, they're right on there, maybe, but maybe I'm giving us a little bit too much credit. I don't know. Maybe we need more credit. I don't know. I mean, I'd be okay with that too. But, yeah, I mean, if I was an operative that knew what the hell was going on with this, yeah, there's so much that I'm sure that we just don't have the perspective on to really comment. I mean, to understand,
Yeah. Well, I guess that wraps it. Hey, this is our first 3-parter, man. First and only, probably. I don't know.
I get it. Well, hell, let's leave it open.
Yeah.
Why not have more multiple parts?
Why not?
Episodes?
Yeah, let's do it. All right. So I guess to wrap up this whole thing, if you're listening, if you've looked at these slides and you have a different opinion on any of them, we would actually really like to hear from you. So let us know what you think. If you think we got it wrong, if you think that there's stuff we didn't catch on to or whatever, let us know. And also, if you send us an email or whatever, if you don't want us to read it, let us know, because you may or may not want to be out there in the public. I guess that's pretty much that. So thanks for listening.
Well, hey,
oh yeah, what's up?
It's a fun interaction with the community too.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for listening. You can follow the show on Twitter at AlienConPod, and you can send us an email at alienconpod@protonmail.com. We would love to hear from you. Be sure to tune in next time for... What are we doing? We're gonna do Denver?
Man, we doing the Denver airport, baby.
Yeah, all right. Next time, Denver airport. All right.